hello, fabulous friends, fans, and superstars. Welcome to Synchronicity Web TV. I am your host, Nadiya Shah, and this is your moment of synchronicity. Well, I'm so excited to celebrate with you today, Ursula Stockder. Ursula is somebody that you've seen before on Synchronicity Web TV, and you've definitely seen her before at Synchronicity University as well. Now, Ursula is a Jungian analyst, and I just love her astrology. Well, first of all, let me say, she is one of the very few people who has looked at my chart. So that's one of the things I'm a little bit protective of is my own chart, but she's one of the people who've actually done a reading for me. And it was so phenomenal and so insightful. She brings so much wisdom and heart to her astrological understanding. But she's also very accomplished as a Jungian analyst, and her depth of understanding of tarot as a conversation with your own unconscious, I think is just so special and so unique. So I'm so excited that Ursula is coming back to Synchronicity University, this time with a 5-part course. This is so exciting. It is going to be taught in September on Saturdays, which is like a prime time slot. People love learning about astrology and tarot and all things magical at that time. And for a very limited time, you can choose your tuition rate as low as just $5 a class, which is an unheard of rate to learn from the likes of Ursula Stockder. And this topic, wow, so exciting. And she's really going to take you through the different tarot cards, help you to understand the layers of understanding, help you to cultivate self-knowledge with a very unique course on tarot as only Ursula can teach it. I'm so excited to celebrate with you guys once again, my friend, Ursula Stockder. Welcome, Ursula. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so very much that you are inviting me again. I'm thrilled about it. It's a theme that I love. And well, I have worked a lot with it because, as you know, I'm also a painter and I'm very much into symbolism. So I made a very unique fusion about tarot, symbolism, color, numbers, and it's a very personal approach I have been giving to tarot, and also the sequence of the major arcana that we are going to go very deep into the symbolism of the card, the colors also, and then also the development of this psychological process that has to do with the individuation process that I'm also going to approach in a more profound way, because last time we only had very short time and it's so much information. When I started to develop this course, I said, oh, tarot, it's like much easier than astrology. And when you go into the depth of tarot, you say, oh my God, you start to look and look and look and look. And then, well, astrology also has a huge influence in the tarot, in the interpretation of the tarot. And the minor arcana that are really much more difficult in a sense that well, I don't know. I really don't know. It's different. It's first you have to know the major arcana, the development of the individuation process you are going to go through. And then the minor arcana give you a much broader even perspective and the elements too. So, well, that's what I want to share with all the people who are interested, and I hope they are going to be as thrilled as I am with analyzing each of these tarot cards.
Yes, and I remember because last year you taught a 2-part class, basically. So we had a speaker series, and you were teaching 2 classes in that 5-class speaker series. And there was so much information. You just knew so much, and there was such a depth of understanding. And so when I reached out to you to teach your own course, I said, hey, can you go through each of the cards so that people can really understand and cultivate the relationship with these cards? So I'm so excited that you're going to be doing that. I do want to take a little bit of a step back, and I wanted to ask you about being a Jungian analyst, because you've already shared a little bit so far how you're going to bring in some of the ideas of Jung. Can you talk about what is individuation? So for those people who are not familiar with Carl Jung's ideas, what did he articulate and understand as individuation, or the process of individuation?
Okay, the process of individuation, if we go into mythology too, mythology is very, very important. That's something we are going to take a deeper look into, even what the individuation process is and what happens. When we go to therapy or in the chart, we're going to see through the 12 signs, we are going to see the development of individuation. The more we work on ourselves, the more we go into depth of ourselves, the more understanding we are going to have of the universe, of the world, of humanity, of the people who are around us. So individuation is like really knowing where you are heading, what your sense of life is. So in astrology, we are going to see the first house and the second house. The first house is like the call. We are going to be called. When we are going to be called, it's usually that we have a problem. We don't go into therapy or into an astrology reading if we are okay in our lives, or we don't want to go deeper in our lives. So at the beginning, when we start our process, we say, oh, okay, it looks very nice. Even if we go to the therapist, the first sessions are, oh, so relaxing and wow. And then suddenly there comes a point where I say, oh, maybe it's too much. I don't want to go deeper because it's too frightening. I don't know. Then on another level, you get the mentor. The mentor is also going to be very important because that's the one who is going to help you to develop. And then you are going to this process of getting to know yourself. And the tarot cards, it's like we have the major arcana and we have the fool that's going to start this individuation process, and then you go to the different steps, how the different 3 levels where you are going to go into deeper levels. So it's also the sense of being a hero or having this individuation process has changed a lot during times. It was very different in medieval times and in Renaissance times. So right now, at this moment in life, it's like in this individuation process to say, okay, I'm having these problems. I have parts of my life I don't like, but I can overcome them, and I'm going to embrace them. That means embrace your own shadow. When you embrace your own shadow, you are going to have even more creativity. You are going to flourish also, because you are saying, okay, I'm not perfect. Nobody is perfect. And oh, it's great to not feel like I have to be perfect, and to learn through my errors. So when we make a tarot spread, sometimes we get like the devil, or we get like cards that are a little difficult, and it's not really a problem. It's like only getting to know what's bothering you, or where you are not forgiving, or why you are not forgiving, or what are you afraid of, because like the devil means like panic, being afraid of, and things like that. So That's
But
what.
the devil card can also be a lot of fun. I'll play devil's advocate here, right? I mean, I'm thinking about how some artists have conceptualized, because I know you're an artist and you're going to be bringing in this idea of like the different elements of different artists who've actually conceptualized
Yes.
and brought forward their interpretation of these very archetypal symbols of the major arcana. And a lot of artists have conceptualized the devil card as, enjoying the earthly incarnation, enjoying your physical self, right?
Yes,
So there's lots of ways individuation can happen. Yeah.
yes, it's not feeling guilty about having fun, about like having dreams, about someone. It's okay. It's okay to have dreams. Your unconscious is always going to flourish and coming up through dreams. Something also very interesting is that tarot and the dream work are very, very much in tune. It's also very important that when you give a reading that you say, oh, it's like a dream. It's this dream is manifesting in me. What symbols does this mean? So I think in this way, my workshop is different because I'm going to show you what it means. Even different painters, that's also so interesting. The way Leonardo da Vinci or Dali or Bosch painted like the Fool or Remedios Varo, like Venus, it is so different because it depends on like the Fool. Where is it looking? To the right or to the left? That also has a meaning. And is the dog there or is not the dog there? Or what happens with these archetypal representations? Also, through history, it has changed a lot because we're also going to look a little bit into the Mantegna tarot. That it's the structure is very different, and the vices and the virtues, because Christianism had a lot of influence too with the tarot. So in the Renaissance, the Renaissance was a time where it's a research. It was like this scientific, astrological, alchemical symbolism was very, very studied about many. And tarot and painting was very important at that time because people didn't know how to read until later with Luther, with when he made these printings of the Bible, and it made it accessible to everybody. And he through Luther, and they made people to read the Bible, and that the Christian church didn't have that much influence. But there's a lot of Christian influence in the tarot too, and also in the perception of how we read the tarot, like the world with Maria Magdalene. In the world, we are going to see in the middle, not Jesus, we're going to see Maria Magdalene, and it's like the Pisces Vesica and the change. And in the tarot, we are going to have this image too, with the 4 royal stars and what it means. Or there are some interpretation where you see an ape. The ape is also related more to the sphere of the devil or things that are not nice. Or the Sphinx, we're going to go deep into the meaning of the Sphinx. What does the Sphinx really mean? That we are going to see it in several, represented in several tarot cards like the Chariot.
Wow. And so, I mean, all of that just sounds so rich, and it's all, right up my alley. My Sag moon, I think of it as the nerd, and I love all of that stuff that you're saying. But you just mentioned the Sphinx. So tell me about that. Like, what are the different ways in which the Sphinx has been represented? Because I mean, I'm thinking about how the Sphinx being so dominant in Egyptian mythology, right? We still have these statues and monuments representing Sphinx in these ancient Egyptian monuments that still exist. How do you understand? What can you tell us about the Sphinx? If somebody wanted to cultivate that relationship like I do with the Sphinx, what does that say?
Well, right now I'm also developing like a talk for ISAR about animals, and it's very interesting. If you see Athena, the goddess Athena, she also has a sphinx on top of her head. So the sphinx is always going to be related between life and death. It's when you have the chariot, that's the end of the first level. It's like saying this period is ending. Well, the chariot has a lot to do because it's related to Cancer and to the moon and to mother. And it's like having a distance from the mother, so I can develop more. I have to be my own. I have to know what I'm going to do. In the chariot, you are going to see the white and the black sphinx. That's life and death. And the Sphinx was also this creature that has this instinctive part and it's like the four royal stars in one. If you see, it's like the lion, the tail, like the head. That really does it mean. But the Sphinx in Egypt was also the one who took care of the death and the tombs. So on one side, it means for the Egyptians, it was like this creature, that this mother image that took away all your energy. On the other side, it means this relation to death and to the tonic, to everything that's the earth and goes beyond, and how you have to change. So the Sphinx, sometimes the chariot is drawn with two horses, but I think the Sphinx is very important there because it means like getting in touch with what is also the rational part in your life and the instinctual part of your life. So it's very, the meaning of the Sphinx is very, very profound, and we are going to go into a much deeper level of that.
Wow, Ursula, you just brought this whole other depth understanding to this symbol of the Sphinx, and how that shows up specifically in the Chariot card as well. Is I hadn't made that association before. It's so true, with Cancer being associated with the Chariot and this idea of transition, but life and death and renewal, all of these are so embodied by the Sphinx. It's quite phenomenal. So before I let you go, I wanted to just go back a little bit because we mentioned the Devil card, right? So why don't we end on that? let's talk about, how do you understand the Devil card? What can you help people? Like, if I were to say to you, if I were doing a reading with you and the Devil card showed up, I'm sure something's going on in my psyche right now that I'm fascinated by this card. But in this moment anyways, what can you tell us about the Devil card? I want people to see your skills because you just know so much. What would you tell us about the Devil card?
Well, the Devil card has a relation with the lovers, with the lovers card. If you see, but in the Devil card, there are these chains, and how can I free myself from there? And it was a time in Renaissance where they didn't have the Devil card in the tarot spread. But and also, well, this devil part was like pan devil, sexuality, guilt, panic. It means like you are frozen. It's like, that's why it's Capricorn there too, or Saturn. We are going to see in the Devil card, we are going to see this part of the Capricorn. And if you think about Capricorn, during the festivals of Capricorn in December, like everybody like took off their masks and freed themselves. So Capricorn has to do with this, like the karma, the conscious karma. It's not the Plutonian karma. It's the conscious karma, and it's like, what am I afraid of? Why am I panicking? Why am I Why am I frozen? What's happening here? So this was the difference also between Christ and the devil and things like that, like this things that usually makes us not letting ourselves go beyond. And in the individuation process, we are going to feel in a moment like this panic, like saying, oh, if I go beyond, I have to change my life. I have to say, this is good for me and this is not good for me. And Pan is saying you, or the devil is saying you, free yourself. There are things that are changing. Embrace your shadow and don't have panic or don't be afraid. Be careful with what you reject also, not being that judgmental and not with yourself. Sometimes
so beautiful. Yeah.
Sometimes I think people are very judgmental with themselves. I think that's the part where we have to work on this devil card and saying, okay, no. James Hillman has a very good book about that.
About what? About judgment or about the devil?
About Pan.
Okay.
The psychology of Pan.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I think that's a book that's really worth reading. It's incredible.
You know, it's fascinating because while you were talking, I was thinking about how, you know, Jung was in his very early years, he was a student of Freud. And then there were all kinds of reasons why they broke from each other and went in different directions. And Freud is also somebody who, of course, I found incredibly influential in my understanding of myself and my psyche and so on. I love how Jung brings in the spirituality and psyche. I mean, that's really where Carl Jung shines, and in other ways as well, he shines. But it was Freud who said in his essay on mourning and melancholia, he talked about how when the psyche is not ready to look at the source of its angst, right? And so the reason it may not be ready is because once you acknowledge what's really the problem, then you have to change. You know, something's got to change. And sometimes it's your whole life that's got to change. And sometimes we're just not ready for that, or the consequences of that would be way too great. It would be to challenge our parents. And on a level of our psyche, our parents is like challenging God, you know? So it is just such a profound thing that is very hard for some people to really embrace. And so that energy will direct itself in other ways. So if we can't really be mad about or really acknowledge the change that needs to happen, we might direct that energy towards depression, or that energy might become, you know, we project certain qualities onto particular groups. We make other people other as part of not really taking ownership for the happiness that we know is on the other side of the sadness or the fear or the angst that we feel. And so it's really profound how, as you're talking about the devil card, I sort of thought about how with the devil, so much of it can be like you were talking about Pan, and the celebration of Pan was Saturnalia, right? That was the big celebration in ancient Rome. And it was this revelry. It was really like to allow yourself the full immersion and pleasure and hedonism of the five senses of the earthly incarnation. But even that can be a type of escapism. even that can be a way in which you maybe are afraid to really look at a deeper happiness, a deeper satisfaction. To get caught up in that, in the revelry itself, sometimes is a gloss, so that you don't have to go to that soul level, more profound happiness that you find on the other side of the devil card. So I love how you made these layers of association there. It reminded me of some of the ideas of Freud as well.
Yes, well, Freud and Jung, they had several misunderstandings. One was spirituality, that Freud said, well, like Thanatos and Eros was the energy that was really pushing you to move forward in your life. And Freud said, and Jung said, no, spirituality. So for him, he had a much for me, a much broader sense in including spirituality, and that's something we also do in astrology. But the fun part was, well, Jung's approach towards dream analysis is very different than Freud's. That's also, and this is why the tarot is also very much related to a dream work. And it was, do you know why they really split, Freud and Jung? It was because Freud said that there was always this, the son wants always to kill the father at the end. Wow. So, and Jung came once to him and he said to Freud, oh, I want you to help me to analyze a dream. I dreamt about my father and that my father died. Well, at that moment, Freud said, oh, you want to kill me.
The Oedipus complex. Yeah. As we progress, because the devil card is just one card, sort of in the middle of the major arcana, a little beyond the middle. And once you move past that, you get to all these other wonderful cards. You get to the tower, you get to the moon, you get to the sun, you get to the star. And that's the reward of doing the work. You move through that part of that resistance, that uncertainty, and then you have that awareness, and that takes you within. But then on the other side is really you shining bright, being more fully yourself, filled with hope, filled with lightness. And I think that's part of the promise of the process of individuation, certainly, but also the ways in which that the tarot can help us to understand our own journey symbolically, the way that mythology helps us to understand our own journey symbolically. It's quite powerful. What a powerful tool the tarot is in that.
Yes, and well, after the devil, we have the tower.
Yes, the awareness. The light bulb.
Awareness, yes, that's also important. It's like, oh, now I'm seeing.
Yeah.
I want to see, and well, it's so incredible. If you go through all these arcana in a more profound way, then you really go, oh wow, what is happening here? So the readings are going to be so different when you have all the psychological information, what happens in the relation with the major arcana, with the planets too, or the signs, because it's different, the energy of a planet and the sign. So that's also incredible. And how history has changed, our approach to see the cards.
Yeah, it's quite remarkable. Ursula, you're the perfect person to be teaching tarot from a Jungian perspective. And you guys, for a very limited time, you can choose your tuition rate as low as just $5 a class, which is an unheard of rate to learn from the likes of Ursula Stockder for this incredible class, this 5-part course. Starting September 2022, it is Ursula Stockder teaching on tarot and Jung and astrology and so much more. Ursula, thank you so much for being here. I'm just so excited that you're back at Synchronicity University. And of course, to talk to you again, how much I love talking to you is just also lovely. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I love having you in my life, in my astrology family. Thank you so much. And I'm thrilled I'm going to see you very, very soon.
Yes, we're going to see each other very, very soon in Denver at the ISAR conference. So if you want to meet me or Ursula and hug us, that would be amazing too. But yes, if you don't get a chance to come out to Denver, of course, we will be online and Ursula will be at Synchronicity University that I'm so excited about. So thank you, Ursula.
Thank you very much.
And thank you, everybody out there, for watching. And until we connect again, take care. Bye.